Ah, yeah. Hey, Amaru. Only if you're ready. Let's go. I'm only looking for loyalty. All I need from you. I'm thinking you be the one for me. I can see it on you. Your love that do me every time. With you by my side, we gon' shine. Baby girl, you know you royalty. I've been waiting for you. Me no care about all the noise, but I'm digging your station. See how you got my head spinning with a body rotation. Couple of days went by, now I'm losing my patience. Go ahead, drop a pin, girl, wanna know your location. What's your location? Had to pull a plug on your ex, now you coming my way out. I can switch it up for you, girl, I'm no longer a player. See that pretty face on my screen, that'll make my day out. Bea. I'm only looking for loyalty. All I need from you. I'm thinking you be the one for me. I can see it on you. Your love that do me every time. With you by my side, we gon' shine. Baby girl, you know you royalty. I've been waiting for you. I didn't feel like with her we can take over nations, yeah. We can take a trip whenever, girl, you need a vacation. Number one bad girl, killing everything like on a mission. Girl on a mission. Had to pull a plug on your ex, now you coming my way out. I can switch it up for you, girl, I'm no longer a player. See that pretty face on my screen, that'll make my day out. Bea. I'm only looking for loyalty. All I need from you. I'm thinking you be the one for me. I can see it on you. Your love that do me every time. With you by my side, we gon' shine. Baby girl, you know you royalty. I've been waiting for you. Yeah. Do you know she royalty?
Question. Did you get a chance to meet with the royal family? And if not, how was it like having them there in the building?
Jesus, Mary, and Joseph?
The Prince and Princess of Wales.
Oh, no, I did not. I'm only familiar with one royal family. I don't know too much about that one.
Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Thumbs up in the chat if you can hear me, please. Welcome to the podcast. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. Hope those of you who are celebrating enjoyed Mother's Day, although I think every day should really be Mother's Day. Welcome, everyone. Okay, thank you. You can hear me. Going to be a short podcast today. It was a very interesting article that popped up regarding a troll who trolled the McCann family. This is the Madeleine McCann family, and I haven't read it in full, but I was reading through some of the comments from Squaddies, and there was a lot of commentary going back and forth about parallels between a lot of the derangers and the Harry and Meghan trolls, and what eventually happened to this woman and the consequences of her actions. And often when these things do happen, they become a precedent for future court cases and future incidences. People can refer back to them. So we're going to take a read through. I haven't read it in detail, so it's as fresh to me as it is to you, but as we're going through it, you tell me what you all think. But welcome to the chat, everyone. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. See who is here. Hey, Sandy. Hey, Leo. Faye. Is anyone still watching the Harry and Meghan documentary? I was up at 8 a.m. UK time. I was still in the UK at that point, and I watched it straight away. I watched it on high speed. You could probably put the speed up a little bit, to be honest, and get through it a little bit faster. But yeah, I think most of the squad has watched it. But I've met so many people actually here in Lisbon who have told me that they watched it and they didn't know about the press. And I feel like even though people are starting to understand, I think it's still only really scratching the surface. Because even in the documentary, they talked about royal reporters, but they didn't really actually give names, which I think was quite strategic. Because you don't want to give them direct ammo. And I guess that's why, squaddies have platforms like this, because we do name the names. We name the Camilla Tominis, and Angela Levins, and so on and so forth. But eventually, we're going to have to do something similar to the Netflix documentary where we actually put names to faces so that people understand a little bit more that it's not just this invisible contract. There are specific people who are involved in this. By the way, the song is called She's Royalty by Amaro, because I know you are always asking about the song, and I hope you like the new song. Oh, happy spring solstice. Yes, it is. It is indeed. Well, I don't think it's officially spring in Lisbon, but it feels like it, because this was today. Just glorious. Sunny, sunny, sunny. It's the first time since I've been here that I've actually put a dress like this on. J Mac, don't worry, you didn't miss anything. We're just saying our hellos. Hi Valerie, hi Kathy G, hey Cinderella. Cinderella, I want to watch it again. Yeah, when I have a time, I want to watch it again as well. Cinderella. Yeah, we know their names. The general public don't know their names. Like when I was having a conversation with these two American girls, they were asking about this invisible contract thing, and I was like, well, you've got to look out for specific names. Like, do you know Camilla Tominey? And they were like, no. And I said, well, she's like one of the palace mouthpieces, and she's a friend of Prince Andrew's. So people don't necessarily know their names. Right, let's go on to a few things. Meghan and the Tig. So there was some kind of copyright brand filing that happened with the TIG website, and the tabloid newspapers went into a flurry saying that Meghan was going to bring back the TIG. Now, I don't personally think that's going to happen, and maybe it was just time to renew the copyright or the brand name or whatever it is. That could have been a reason why there was activity there. But there have been several articles in all of the major tabloids and the Telegraph, which is now apparently turning into a tabloid because they're writing about Meghan's blog. And someone wrote this article: is yet another beauty site really what women need? The revival of the Duchess of Meghan's lifestyle blog undermines claim to the champion of feminism. Because feminists don't wear lipstick or like I don't think feminism is not contained to how a woman chooses to dress. If anything, it's the epitome of feminism that a woman gets to choose how she dresses or what she wears, whether or not she wears makeup or whether she doesn't wear makeup, right? So very silly headline as usual, but it shows that they are terrified of the TIG ever coming back. To be honest, I think that the TIG should be the least of their worries, because what Meghan has done so far is going above and beyond what she ever did with the TIG, with the Archetypes podcast, with the 40 times 40, the baby bank that she has with the women's shelter. I mean, the TIG should be the least of their worries. And this is the thing that the tabloids do. They get so fixated on one thing. And as Amberlynn said, anyone who loved the TIG knows that it was travel inspiration, and a foodie's dream. It wasn't just a beauty site, it was an arsenal of helpful information for multifaceted women. They fear the TIG because it demonstrated Meghan's depth and talent. Yes. And I think maybe tomorrow or at some point this week, I will actually find screenshots of the TIG. I mean, there are um, websites where you have collections of former posts that people saved. And she's got interviews with Priyanka Chopra, with Serena Williams. This is all pre-royal life. With who else did she interview? Oh, I forget her name now. A lot of actresses. She interviewed a lot of actresses. I think she might have even interviewed. Did she interview Claudia Schiffer? One of these like supermodels. I forget the name. But she interviewed a lot of people, a lot of not just celebrities, but tastemakers. And there was a lot of travel stuff on there, a lot of food stuff on there, a lot of interior design stuff on there. I also discovered recently that Meghan once had a mini decor line with a company. I think it was sold on Etsy. I was only ever aware of the clothing line that she did, but she had like a mini decor line as well. So it really did demonstrate her depth and also her humanitarian work, a lot of humanitarian work. And ultimately, I think that they know the TIG probably won't come back, but they're just scared that it's gonna outdo the other Duchess. That's what this is. And like I've always said, it never had to be a competition. It could have been a team sport, but the other royals decided to make it a competition, and this is where we are now. Right. I'm going to go on to this article about this troll. By the way, I'm going to read through this article and then we're going to discuss the article, and that's pretty much going to be the podcast for today. I didn't really have a whole lot of other things to say, so if this is just not something that you're interested in, then by all means feel free to clock out now. But I thought it was very interesting, and obviously a lot of other squaddies thought that it was interesting too, so I want to read through it. Light Side of the Moon, you said, yeah, I don't understand why they have this weird obsession with Meghan. Wait, I know why. Oh, by the way, have we had any more performance announcements for the clowning? I hear the Muppets also said no. I haven't heard anything. Like, that has gone completely and utterly silent. I wouldn't be surprised if they just get rid of the whole concert completely. And I don't understand what the point of the concert was. Like, this isn't a Jubilee. Like, for the Jublees, we had performances, both the last one and the one before. But for a coronation, having celebrity performances for a coronation, as if it's not already extravagant enough, and then you want to push it into people's faces, but you're always saying that you hate Hollywood. But the first person you invited was Lionel Richie. Oh, these people. Cinderella said Meghan is constantly working. What's the other princess doing? Crickets, indeed. Oh yes, Rochelle, the 100 timeless. Yeah, somebody actually DM'd this to me. Let's go into my. Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. Let me go into my DMs because somebody actually sent this to me. I think Harry and Meghan have been shortlisted again, right? Like, here we go again. So you can cast your vote for the individuals who have had the greatest influence of the past year. Okay, let me see. Let me see if I can just share the link. Thank you for mentioning that, Rochelle. Because someone did actually DM this to me and I completely forgot. Let's have a look. Okay, it's telling me to log in, but it looks like there's some kind of shortlist. And then we have to vote. So I'll send this to you all, and then we'll talk about this in a bit more detail tomorrow. Right, there's a time reader poll. Go vote for our faves, please. Yes, Wendy, it's a distraction. Let's focus on the TIG, on what Meghan and Harry are doing, instead of the absolute mess being caused at home. Light side, I haven't heard a thing. No. Yeah, the Muppet said no. The Muppet said absolutely not. We don't want to be associated with that. Yeah, zero aside from Lionel. They might as well just get like an AI DJ. An AI DJ or Tupac's hologram from Coachella a couple of years ago. Valerie, they are getting no volunteers, and the Sun is complaining that the councils are not spending money on the coronation. Yeah, I mentioned that yesterday. I mean, isn't that just a reflection of where this is going? And to be honest, why should the councils give any money? If people want to get out the bunting and have a picnic, then they can do that. Right, let's get into reading this article. Let me just get it up on the screen. And thank you also for everyone that always donates to buy me a coffee. A couple of yours came in after the podcast yesterday, so thank you. Right, so the article says, my mother, the troll, I think she lost sight of the McCann's humanity. When Ben Lehman's mum said she was in trouble, she had no idea she was about to be exposed for sending hundreds of abusive tweets about Madeleine McCann's parents or of the tragic end to her story. So the first thing I'm going to say is this. I remember very distinctly the level of trolling that the McCanns got. It wasn't just from this particular individual woman. There seemed to be this weird cult. I think because of just how big the whole Madeleine McCann story became, of people who were being are just throwing so much abuse at the McCanns. And whether or not you think that those parents were irresponsible in what they did, no amount of vitriol is going to bring that child back. The child is already gone. They're going to have to live with that for the rest of their lives. I could not understand why or how people just became so nasty, and the level of obsession that was around the McCanns and this whole story. This tends to happen sometimes when you get these big cases. It's like people have watched so many documentaries that everybody thinks they're a great private investigator now. And you have these citizen journalists that maybe take it a little bit too far. Anyway, the article goes on to say there was this entire part of mum. So this is a guy speaking. There was this entire part of mum that I never knew about, Ben Lehman says. Oh, sorry, Leyland, Ben Leyland. Brenda Leyland was a stylish, well-spoken, and rather private woman who lived in a picturesque village in Leicestershire. So sometimes it's the types of people that you don't necessarily always assume are going to get involved in these things that do. He knew she told stories and that many of them may have been on the tall side. He also knew that she spent a lot of time on her laptop and was increasingly living online. What he didn't know was that his mother had become a Twitter troll who spent the final years of her life relentlessly attacking the parents of Madeleine McCann, the girl who disappeared in Portugal in 2007 at the age of 3 and hasn't been seen since. In 2014, Brenda was approached by a Sky News journalist who asked her why she was trolling the McCanns on Twitter. So this is actually a screenshot from Sky News and the interview. I have to say, I do think that this was actually very irresponsible of Sky News. I think that when you have a troll like this is for the authorities to deal with, at least initially. I don't think the media should get involved in this way, and hopefully, lessons have been learned, because perhaps if she had actually gotten help and not blast out, because this is at the beginning phases of her trolling. So perhaps if she had gotten help at this point and not put all over Sky News, maybe this whole thing would have gone a different way. Anyway, goes on to say, she was about to get into a car with a friend to visit a garden centre and declined to comment. The journalist then told her that she had been reported to Scotland Yard and her tweets are being investigated as part of a larger campaign of abuse against the McCanns. Well, that's fair enough, she said calmly. But Brendan's face gave her away. Her eyes blinked and her cheeks twitched anxiously. 4 days later, on October 4th, 2014, Brenda killed herself. Her trolling and subsequent suicide resulted in a number of newspaper stories about the toxic culture of Twitter, the danger of people behind avatars and fake names on social media. Um, Brenda's attacks on the McCanns and the tragedy of her death. What could have led a woman to post hundreds of tweets attacking a couple she had never met? And why did she think there was nothing left to live for when she was caught out? The Rangers, I hope you're listening. Ben, 38, has not talked to a newspaper about his mother before, but nearly a decade on, he believes there are lessons to be learned from her story, lessons that have been crucial to his own survival. Ben, who graduated from Oxford University with a degree in theology, is a recovering drug addict who now works as a life coach in Los Angeles for people with mental health and addiction problems. Although he recognizes there was much he didn't know about his mother, in other ways, they were painfully close. When she died, she took me out too, he says. It was a suicide bomb. I never had a separate identity over mum. Over the past 7 years, he has done detect work, trying to piece together Brenda's life. Only by understanding her has he been able to understand himself, he says. But it's not been easy. So much of her life was a fiction, and he's still trying to disentangle the truth from the make believe. After Brenda's death, Ben gave up his job and devoted himself to his own destruction. Okay, so it goes on a little bit more about his life, and then it goes back to Brenda. So Brenda, who was 73 when she died, grew up in the military. She went to a convent school and briefly worked in marketing. So you can see that it can be people from the most normal backgrounds. Maybe there's just something in their life that they feel is missing, so they get sucked into these things. When she met her future husband and Ben's father in the 1970s, she told her parents that he didn't make much money and she was bringing home the bacon. In fact, he was doing very well for himself, a working class boy who had grown up in Birmingham. Okay, so Brenda had expensive tastes and was in debt a lot. Brenda was also famous in the family for her stories. There were so many of them that Ben doesn't know where to start. One that she liked to dine out was one that she liked to dine out on was how she had known Elton John when he was a teenager. She would tell us how she was living on an army barracks when her dad was in the RAF. Um, okay, so it goes on a little bit more about her history. It was only when we watched that movie, Rocket Man, about Elton John, that me and my dad were like, really? Um, so she goes on to say that she used to tell a lot of suspicious stories, and her stories were very colorful. That she had quite an imagination. It's interesting. Sometimes these things can be a precursor for mental health issues, but people can sometimes write them off. And then Ben goes on to say, when there's been serious trauma, sometimes people retreat to their imagination. But Ben was never sure about the nature of the trauma at the heart of Brenda's life. She would say that her brother had been abused and that had affected her badly. There were also periods in her life when she went away to get better. She never talked about what she was in hospital for, but she would come home regaling him with stories about the rich and famous people she met there. So she clearly had some kind of mental health issues. And I have seen in the last few years that I've been on the squad things that really worry me in regard to some of these derangers and trolls. There was one particular woman who I saw on TikTok, and she had several TikTok videos where she's wearing like a Megan mask, and I'm talking maybe like 10, 15 videos, every single video. Um, okay, let's read on. From the outside, the Leylands looked like a happy, high-achieving nuclear family. Ben's father was a successful businessman. They lived in the biggest house on the block, and both Ben and his brother were sent to private schools. And then when Ben was 12, the family fell apart. All right, I'm trying to get more to where it goes on to when she started. Um, so she wanted people to pay attention and speak of her when she wasn't there. He compares her to Anna Sorokin, the Russian fake heiress who conned her way into New York high society as Anna Delvey before being jailed for fraud in 2019. In many ways, Ben says his mother was wonderful. She was beautiful, intelligent, and funny. Um, okay, she goes on a little bit more about her life. But then he also goes on to say she was possessive and demanding of his attention at times and constantly gave him the impression that he had failed her. She would tell him he didn't spend enough time with her, didn't think about her enough, didn't love her. You could always tell she was keeping a scorecard. Honestly, this sounds like Angela Levine's mum. Does this not sound like Angela Levine's mum? There were things you thought she had dealt with that she still held on to, grudges and resentments. Okay. Let me just go on a little bit more. Okay, so now we're fast forward to around the time that Madeleine McCann went missing. Okay. So it says, by this time, Brenda was becoming increasingly fascinated by Madeleine McCann's story. After Madeleine went missing in 2007, everybody was talking about it. Brenda, who lived just 15 miles from the McCanns, oh, that's really creepy, was no exception. But at this point, Ben did not think there was anything unusual in her interest in Kate and Jerry McCann. Brenda was spending a lot of her time on her computer. But as far as Ben knew, she was playing card games. In 2008, Ben moved to the US. He had found life in Burton, Overy, claustrophobic. Only 370 people lived there. The post office had closed. Ben couldn't cope with the idea that he was responsible for his mother's happiness. The only person she said she cared about was me, he says. It was too much pressure. So he leaves England, finds a wife, they get married. Then he says, after I got married, mum pulled me to one side and she got into the taxi to go to the airport and she said she had 3 months to live, Ben says. It wasn't true. Oof. It was just that the attention was on me and my then wife and she couldn't handle it. So Ben was happily married, but living a white picket fence life that was a lie. Both him and Brenda were struggling in private with their identities. Oh wait, no, he was okay. So he was unhappy. Sorry, I have to read that again. He was unhappily married, closeted, and living a white picket fence life that was a lie. Okay, so he got married because he was trying to hide his identity. Okay, so I'm gonna move a little bit more on. So it talks about how he suspected his mom of making up lies. Okay, when they spoke on the phone, Brenda updated him on Madeleine and her latest theories about the McCanns. After Madeleine's disappearance, Kate and Jerry McCann admitted that they had left their 3 children alone in their apartment in Praia da Luz, Portugal. When they went to eat with friends, along with many other conspiracy theorists, Brenda was convinced that they were responsible for Madeleine's abduction as a result of negligence. Ben admits that he barely listened while she rattled on. At least he thought it kept her occupied. On the 30th of September 2014, Ben received a phone call from Brenda. She sounded panicked in a way he had not heard before. She told him that earlier in the day, she had been questioned by a TV journalist about the McCanns. Ben didn't know what she meant. Mum said, I'm in trouble. I was like, what's going on? She told him that her Twitter handle was @SweepyFace, named after Sweep, her first boxer dog. And he visited the account where she had been writing about the McCanns. He discovered that her avatar was a photograph of his boxer dog that she had recorded her address as Los Angeles. When I saw that, I was like, are you kidding me? Then I started reading through her Twitter account and I was like, holy ish. There were hundreds of messages about the McCanns. They were vitriolic and potentially libelous. Ben knew his mother had the capacity to rage and that she had strong opinions about the McCann, but he had never seen anything like this. Tweets included McCann, how long must the McCann suffer? Answer, for the rest of their miserable lives. I think Kate McCann sees herself as a modern day Eva Peron, beautiful suffering instead of a booze filled nymphomaniac. Hate, a powerful emotion. It is a compliment to Maddie that we hate her parents who betrayed her. You can move to France anywhere, but social media is everywhere. Our memories are long. To Kate and Jerry McCann, you are hated by millions for the rest of your miserable, evil, conniving lives. Have a nice day. Now, if that doesn't sound like a deranger, I don't know what does. And so it goes on to say, how did Ben react when he saw the tweets? My initial reaction was crisis management. He says, damage litigation. I was working in law at the time and I thought there's a story that's going to come out. We have very little time to deal with it. I have to jump into action mode. He admits that he also took a perverse pleasure in her situation. There was this part of me that was like, for years I put up with never being good enough for you, always being told you don't love me, and finally you've effed up. The tables were turned. I felt vindicated that she was coming to me cap in hand, but I also felt now it's my responsibility to make this go away. Even then, he says he had no sense it could all end tragically. Yes, she had sent a load of nasty tweets and engaged with a community of conspiracy theorists who fed off each other. But back then, we didn't really understand the impact of the internet. After all, it was only virtual reality. It was a different era, he says. This idea that a single person could be completely cancelled didn't really exist at the time. So when I saw this stuff on Sky News, I thought this is not good, but I didn't have any of the awareness of the full extent of its impact. Ben advised Brenda not to invite the Sky News reporter Martin Berndt into the house and to say nothing. But he found out at the inquest that she had already spoken to him for half an hour on the phone, albeit off camera. She was more helpless than I'd ever seen her before. Was she panicked because she realized she had done something wrong, or because she'd been found out? Good question. I think she'd had time to reflect, that she'd gotten a little bit carried away. That's what she said in her final email. Did she have any sense of the pain that the tweets might cause the McCanns? It's difficult to say. I think she lost sight of her humanity, and they were just a target of the investigation. Ben was to later discover during the investigation that Brenda didn't think of herself as a troll. And a lot of these derangers that hate on Harry and Meghan, I don't think they think of themselves as trolls either. I think they honestly think that they're quite justified in their minds, that they're monarchists, they're royalists, this is part of their identity, and this Meghan woman has come in and they feel like they're on some kind of crusade to defend what they feel is part of their identity. I don't think they think that they're trolls. A lot of them I actually don't even think care about the royal family. I think it's more what Meghan represents in their eyes. So it goes on to say that Ben attempted some crisis management, but that didn't go too well. So there were back and forths and FaceTimes between Ben and the mum and the dad, and then it goes on to say a few minutes later, his father called and told him that Brenda had fatally overdosed in a hotel 15 miles from home. He refused to believe it. I said, that doesn't make any sense. She just called. He now thinks that the police at the scene accidentally rang him. Ben was broken. For all their fallouts, he and Brenda had been linked. Ben felt that as well as taking her own life, she had taken his. Then he also learns about her addictions were getting out of hand. She was drinking a lot, that she was becoming more and more unstable, that she had chosen her addictions over work. And, unfortunately, when you live with so much hatred in your heart, I mean, obviously, this woman did have a lot of issues and she needed help, but obsessing over the McCanns in the way that she was doing could not have helped her at all. So, okay, it goes on a little bit more. It is quite a long article. Like, I'll post the link if you want to read. But I just wanted to read that a little bit because it just shows that I think, um, yes, Joan Hickey, I've just seen your comment on my phone actually, um, right at the bottom there, that hate is an addiction in itself. It's so true. And this is what can happen when you are so busy trying to dig a grave for someone else, you can end up digging your own. So this woman was gonna be actually charged for that trolling. I don't know if it says in the article actually how exactly they found out it was her because she was using an account with an avatar. Um, so maybe they explain that a little bit more in the article. But I wanted to point this out because number one, the fact that they actually caught a troll and were going to charge her, I would think or I would hope that could be used in other cases. And we have seen Jeremy Vine, his internet troll actually was charged. And he sat there and he talked about how awful it was, but he still is there on a morning show every single day, um, inviting other trolls to talk about Megan. So I hope with this there is at least some basis of being able to go after some of the other trolls that have come in quite hard on Harry and Meghan over the years. And I hope also that this can be a lesson for the trolls. Stop your trolling now before it's too late for you. Before you're either prosecuted or you're so deep in hatred that you would rather take your own life than face the consequences, like this woman unfortunately did. And not only is she having to deal with these consequences, her son, completely innocent in this situation, but he's also having to deal with the consequences. The whole family's having to deal with the consequences, and for what? At the end of the day, no matter how much you feel strongly about something, what happened to Madeleine McCann? That's down for the authorities to deal with. Really, you just got your life entwined like this in this case for no reason. And with that, I will read your comments and we will call it a day. Thank you so much for sitting through that. Marina, you said in this age of social media, media are responsible for creating trolls, and then they later turn on them. Yeah, I mean, do Sky News care that this woman is gone? No. Yeah, Gwen, hate is a powerful weapon, but it can turn on you in a way that you never knew. Unfortunately for this lady, she ended up turning on herself. Rahini, oh my god, this is the MO of so many of the derangers. It's like textbook, yeah. And this is what a lot of squaddies were saying. Yeah, he had to leave the country to get away from his controlling, manipulative mother. Sound like anyone we know? Lauren Brown, you said some people with narcissistic tendencies carry some extreme traumas, but they act out on others instead of healing. Then you find out they did something heinous. Gosh, yes. So I think whether it was the McCanns or whether it was someone else, she would have found a target, right? She would have found a target because she clearly had other mental health issues going on. Levy, these people have one thing in common: deluded and obsessed, indeed. Yeah, like so they thrive on negative energy, and it's very weird. Lorna, you said people with narcissistic tendencies focus on how your behavior affects them with no regard for your feelings. They can be manipulative and demanding, and they see new people in your life as a threat. Yes. London lady, I don't agree with you. Have you ever studied the McCann case in depth? Well, I'm not necessarily. My point with this is more her specific behavior and how she went about the way she approached the McCanns, not necessarily how I personally feel about the McCann case. Yeah, I have my opinions on it, if I'm honest, that I won't state here. But would I have made a troll account and posted such things? I mean, I read some of the tweets out; they were quite extreme. No, I would not have. So it's not necessarily about my opinion on the case. It's how this woman, behaved. Because say she felt very, very strongly um about this case and that she felt like she wanted to do something, was could she have not maybe taken another action? Um, why? Because in the end, it destroyed her. So when something ends up destroying you, what was it really worth? And then to add to that, that she clearly had other mental health issues, and I think that this case with the McCanns was just kind of like her outlet, you know. So that's more what I was trying to get at with this case, not necessarily how I or anybody else personally feels about the McCanns. Um, um, Rahini, is it bad that I kind of feel sorry for her? No, we're allowed to feel sorry or pity for people that we don't particularly like. And I do I pity these people because what must be going on with you that um you would get to this point. I mean, I think with the McCann case, one can understand why people would feel so strongly about it, but in the case of the derangers for Harry and Meghan's happiness triggers them. A lot of these people were never even really interested in the royals before Meghan even came along. So, um, I always say it's what Meghan represents that they got angry about. Because there's really nothing to be angry about here. There's enough about the royal family that, if you're being honest, there's no reason to even support them at all. But the thing that you got so mad about was the biracial woman that Harry married. Come on now. Yeah, Lavender, trolls are put on notice. And I hope so. Um, I hope that, this can be an example of um that you will be held accountable um for your actions, and that there is a case to be made for online harassment if at all Harry or Meghan or anybody else in the public eye wants to put forward a case. But it's a very interesting look at the motivations of trolls and the mindset that they have. Yeah, Lauren, I think you've put this quite well actually. You are speaking to a certain mindset of obsession spurred on by internal chaos that is self-destructive, yes. And we always find with a lot of these trolls, there's always something about them, right? So I remember with the Yankee Wally troll, it then came out that she had a history of violence and also a charge for firearms. So there's always something with them. Marina, and still on. Yeah, exactly right. A lot of these trolls and derangers, they're not actually fans of the royals. It's like they joined the royal fandom to hate Harry and Meghan. And this is why the royals' patronages are shutting down. They make no real impact. There's no real interest. I do think that the royals aren't gonna meet their end because of some grand, Republican pushback. I don't think that's going to be the case at all. The British aren't the French. The French know how to protest and push back. I think it's just going to be indifference. Right. With that, I'm going to end it. Thank you so much, everyone, for your comments. And I don't know, is Baron on, or he was on, or he is on? Let's have a look. Let's go to his page. Unless somebody would like to tell me in the comment section, because my phone isn't loading at the moment. Is Baron on? Oh, what's happening with my phone? Lauren, you said, the point is that there are real people in the world with issues who attach themselves to successful people, especially women, and want to alienate any good they have seen in the world. Yeah, because they're so dark and, bitter themselves. All right, Baron is on. So let's all go and watch Baron. Thank you very much, everyone. And I will see you. Well, if there's any news tomorrow, I will see you tomorrow. Ciao. Somebody, if you've got the link, can you post Baron's chat or channel, please? Thank you. Ciao.
Ah, yeah. Hey, Amaru. Only if you're ready. Let's go. I'm only looking for loyalty. All I need from you. I'm thinking you be the one for me. I can see it on you. Your love that do me every time. With you by my side, we gon' shine. Baby girl, you know you royalty. I've been waiting for you. Me no care about all the noise, but I'm digging your station. See how you got my head spinning with a body rotation. Couple days went by, now I'm losing my patience. Go ahead, drop a pin, girl, wanna know your location. What's your location? Had to pull a plug on your ex, now you coming my way out. I can switch it up for you, girl, I'm no longer a player. See that pretty face on my screen, that'll make my day out. I'm only looking for loyalty. All I need from you. I'm thinking you be the one for me. I can see it on you. Your love they do me every time. With you by my side, we gon' shine. Baby girl, you know you royalty. I've been waiting for you. Yeah. Do you know she royalty? One that I get her heart racing. I did feel like with her we can take over nations, yeah. We can take a trip whenever, girl, you need a vacation. Number one bad girl, killing everything like on a mission. Girl on a mission. Had to pull a plug on your ex, now you coming my way out. I can switch it up for you, girl, I'm no longer a player. See that pretty face on my screen, that'll make my day out. I'm only looking for loyalty. All I need from you. I'm thinking you be the one for me. I can see it on you. Your love they do me every time. With you by my side, we gon' shine. Baby girl, you know you royalty. I've been waiting for you. Yeah.